Did he then put it on?
Yes.
Okay.
So
you
then
didn't
were
listen
happy.
to a word I said, did you?
That was for the Ben. It was. Never mind.
he was busy being the engineer,
The sound engineer.
the sound engineer. So
But
yeah.
Yes, I don't listen to a word you say generally.
Well, it's good to have you back, Lee. It's
Mhm.
good to see you again.
I
It's
know.
been a while.
I know it has been.
How are things going?
We all look pretty much the same except Rob's hair grew.
Is it that much
considerably.
longer?
And he got new
much.
glasses.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's been a little while, but it's been a while since we've seen you.
What did they look like before?
I had cheaters from Costco because I broke my other ones.
Okay.
So I finally got around to getting me another. I needed a new prescription anyway. Getting old causes your eyes to get worse,
Nice.
but they're not that bad still. Mostly just for reading.
So this is our last episode of season 2
Yeah.
after like a month and a half off.
Has it only been a
We're
month and a half?
I don't know what it's been.
I think it's been.
We did a few shows since COVID hit.
Yeah. COVID
From
just kind
home.
of
We
jacked
were
a
doing
lot of
shows from
things
home.
up.
Right.
Yeah.
Was the last show the one with Bridget?
Maybe. That was a long time ago.
I
Oh,
don't.
yeah. Because Bridget was right after Father Jay.
Yeah.
But that wasn't Bang Bang one after the other, was it?
No.
Interviews. Yeah. So we did about three
It's been
or four.
spotty. Our updating's been spotty lately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has. Definitely.
But I feel like we're starting to come out of, where maybe we can return to a little bit of normalcy.
hmm
In what way? You mean society
I
or
don't
you mean this
let's-
program?
we never really talked about this. Where is your freak out mode about everything that's happened? Like, how freaked out are you about being around people
Not at all.
with the COVID situation? So that hasn't bothered you.
No.
I got to say it hasn't bothered me either. And we were just having that conversation about Mike, right? And your experience with getting your hair cut, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah. From my perspective,
Yeah.
excuse me, I wasn't going to go, 7 months without a haircut, only to get COVID the first time I got my haircut.
Special COVID cuts by Jerry. So the whole conversation we had outside of the show, and I thought the material would be much better on here because it's a points of view. Like, I guess the experience was you walked in, the guy come busting out with no mask on.
Yep.
Did you have a mask on at the time?
Of course.
So you had a mask on.
Yes.
And he tells you to get in the chair. You kept your mask on.
Yep.
You go to sit down. He comes coming towards you, and you're like, "Whoa, big guy! You gonna throw a mask on or what?" Right?
Yeah. Hey there, pro
Pro what were you gonna say? Pro something supporter?
No, I was gonna say
I think he was.
I think he was.
Was
too.
he was?
no.
Yes, you were.
I was gonna say.
Did he have an orange haircut? I mean, did he have an orange hair?
No, prospective
Wow.
carrier. That's what I was
How
gonna
did
say.
you? What was the word you came up with
Prospective carrier.
originally? What came out of your mouth?
I don't
And I
know.
was
either.
saying pro Trump.
No.
I
Yeah.
thought he was gonna do a pro supporter.
Wow.
I thought that's where he was
Absolute-
going.
No.
We're going political now.
No.
No, I thought that's what he was
no.
doing. I'm like, whoa, where are you
No.
going, dude? Yeah, so that's not what was happening.
No.
changed.
So
Okay. All right, cool.
asked him to put the mask on. He did.
Well, no, wait. What did he say when you asked?
He said, if you want me to, I will.
So was he kind of saying it to you like, I'd rather not do
Oh, yeah.
this?
Yeah.
But if I must,
Yeah.
if you ask me, I'm legally required to put it on.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
I guess. I don't know. If
Probably.
he wants to cut my hair, he was going to put it on. I'll tell you that much.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
Then turned out to be we got on and turned out to be a pretty nice guy. It was fine, but there was something.
One thing led to another. That
Bounce.
And now I'm swiping right,
Yeah, right.
whatever that means.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
So
I wasn't going to go.
Did you
like
give
I said.
him? Did you give him a good tip?
Yes, I did. I
you?
did. Mhm.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, I mean anybody that's working under this conditions should get tipped well, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, so I did get my hair cut, believe it or not. I think it's been about 2 months. I got it as
I hope you
well.
didn't pay much for it.
Oh yeah. I said it was 2 months ago. I don't like getting my hair cut. I like my hair to grow out. But where was I going with this? Oh, so where I went, definitely anti-mask
Are you going for this
across the
haircut?
board.
Is that what you're going for?
Yeah, I like that haircut. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be better if I lost a little weight. I don't want to look like Meatloaf. Come on, rip out a song. What's
By the dashboard.
I was just trying to
Alright.
think of Passion of the Christ starring Meatloaf
Yeah.
as Jesus.
Yeah, right. So, very anti-mask, very aggressively anti-mask when I walked in. And to me, that wasn't a problem to me, so I didn't worry about it. But it was very talking about it openly amongst the group. Almost aggressive about it. Like,
Yeah,
we don't. If you're going to make us wear a mask, we'll have to do it. It was very.
oh my gosh!
Well, no, all the people in there were very okay with not having to wear a mask, so they felt like they were amongst friends. So it was very open discussion about this is a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
All that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So it was very...
Well, I think if the numbers are really low in the area and you don't have a lot of people coming in and out of the area, then I think it's fine to a point. But
yeah,
it's just better to be cautious. And, something else that was said whenever I said, you're going to put a mask on, right? And he said, well, if you want me to. And then he said, but you're going to have to take yours off. Like, as though I'm protecting myself wearing the mask. Okay. You know what I mean? Like that's another thing people, I think, get wrong.
Yeah.
Assuming that you're wearing a mask because you're trying not to get COVID. And that's not it. Another thing people, I think, get wrong.
Sorry, just sound check.
Well, I'm glad to hear it's working.
Sounds really good. Sounds very sensual. You got a really good radio voice, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've been working on
How about whenever I clear my throat? Does that sound good?
Huh?
When I clear my throat.
Sounds like you're like a 1 pack a day kind of guy. So part of the Rat Pack.
There was a time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, so I did want to, because I never knew where your guys' position. I knew a little bit because we work together, so even though Mike and I haven't really seen each other much either, I've been like every other week, I've been quarantined again.
Yeah.
I've had a series of trips I had to go. I had to go to my son's tennis tournament. I had to travel in there, and I went into Maryland a little bit for my birthday. Immediately, slam, 14-day quarantine.
Yep.
Had to stay home.
Wow.
So I haven't been into work off and on probably for almost a month and a half, I would think.
Yeah.
So
there's cobwebs at your office.
Get back on Monday.
Has it been a nonstop party there?
No, there are not a lot of people there.
Happy.
Yeah.
Has it been? You mean, because that's interesting because at work, a lot of those people aren't required to stay home, right?
Right.
I mean, they're not like me that's being quarantined for the reason of me traveling.
Well, maybe. That's a good question. I mean,
I think a lot of people are wanting to stay home because they're getting the luxury right now.
I think the younger folks, the younger developers, they definitely like to work from home. But I think the older codgers like me, like, I got to go into work, Got
to get my lunch pail and my coffee.
Yes. Got to get some of that free coffee.
Yeah. So how's it been in your workplace?
Good. Super busy.
Is it
just
like
all the time?
Is there any pressure where people want to prefer to work from home and not be in the building? Or?
No, I don't think so. Well, I mean, a bunch of people just got furloughed. I mean, I think the people that are there are happy to do whatever's necessary. But
now you guys are crazy busy.
Yeah.
Did you guys cut back?
It didn't. Stuff? I mean, it didn't affect my workload because none of the people that got furloughed really, overlap with what I do.
Yeah, you were already 150% busy before that happened, right? And you were the sole owner of just about 150% of it, right?
No, me and Angie.
Oh yeah, Angie on the design stuff too.
Oh yeah, we do everything together. It's a 2-person department. And
okay.
Really, it wouldn't function with just one person. It would just crash and burn.
Does she have design chops too? Like, were you guys like?
Yeah, she's got a real good eye for she's really good at like crafting and decorating and doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it balances out. She's extremely organized.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, you guys do have to work. You probably do work well together, right?
Because I'm not organized at all. But Father Jay has has a YouTube show that we do every week, and we've had to move our studio like 3-4 times. But we finally settled in this old abandoned house that the parish owns that was being used for storage.
Oh wow!
And so they cleaned it up, and Angie designed the studio and put everything together. So
nice.
Yeah.
So are you like when they're running the show? Are you in the area when they're doing it? Like, are you?
Yeah,
like
we're right in the room.
You're in the same room. Are you kind of like in a big table?
It's Father Jay and his guest, and me and Angie.
And can they see
Off
you
in
on
the
camera?
corner. No, we're not on camera.
But so like you got like a real, like, do you do social medias with this stuff too? Like social media?
Yes. Well, I mean, to a degree, yeah.
It sounds like all the stuff we wanted to do.
Angie handles all the social
does.
media for
So
the parish. So yeah.
All the stuff we say we're going to do that we never do. We always get revved up. You know what we're going to start doing?
Yeah.
We're going to start tweeting on average 5 tweets a week per person. That's our
we
goal.
do not tweet. We have not been tweeting.
We haven't been tweeting yet.
No.
But we do. Our goal is to do that. And we're like, yeah, we're going to go do it.
And then we don't.
Then we don't do anything.
No.
And then we don't even follow up with each other. How was those tweets? What are you talking about? Oh,
Tweet.
yeah. We get
I
all
was
excited.
going to say, if you guys would start that, then I would definitely respond and we could get something going. But I don't even respond to your private texts, so I don't think I'd respond
I know.
to tweets.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I get offended by that
Do you?
because I can't tell when
Why?
you're offended or whether you. Oh, there's 2 bad things. 1, you're offended. 2, you don't give a crap.
That's the one.
Yeah, it's always the
Well, that
second
still
one.
It's always the second
bothers
one.
me
Yeah.
too.
I'm
I'm
not,
like, he doesn't even care.
I'm not offended ever.
Well, you know,
Like he cares so little about what
Yeah.
we have to say that no matter what we say wouldn't even offend him.
well, he's
Right.
working off of that. You are the of the 5 people that you hang around. You are average. Like, how's that work?
I don't know.
Your station in life is represented by the 5 people you hang around the most.
I remember you talking about this. I just don't remember
They
this.
say if you can look at the 5 people you hang out around, that's generally who you are, right? In average,
That's right.
right? And so I don't think we're in that 5 with him anymore.
No, absolutely
I
not.
think he's got this other 5 and he's like,
I don't think he does.
I'll just do that. I think we're a charity right now to him. Like, huh?
I don't. I can't think of 5
He
people.
doesn't even
that I
have
put in that
5?
group.
No.
Oh, you
He's got his family.
You have at least your wife. And
Does
your
family
kids.
count?
I don't know. I don't think that rule does. I think it counts with the associates you work with and hang out with. I don't think it's family.
Because
I don't.
you're stuck with your family.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Okay.
nothing.
No.
All right.
It's who you choose to hang out with. So
Yeah.
he's
I
Lee's
hang
got
out with one
himself
person.
and his 4 other personalities.
Probably the other is a ham sandwich. And what do you do when you're not around anybody? Like, what are you doing? You're not at work.
I'm at work or I'm at home. That's pretty much it.
No. Okay. I
And
know
it's not
that.
hockey
And you're
season.
working your butt off. Like, when you're home, what do you do? Your wife's doing whatever. Like, what do you
I
do?
usually get home. Sometimes I'll take a nap.
Yeah.
We usually watch some TV while we're eating dinner.
Yeah.
We're watching Boardwalk Empire right now.
Nice.
Oh.
I love that series.
What an amazing!
Is that still on HBO? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you
So
know,
that's your Bond thing.
I play some Dungeons and Dragons online.
Oh,
I've
good.
got a group online that I play with.
Oh, so how do you do that? Is that like a video game or is it like?
No, it's like through StreamYard, like through.
Oh wow!
And
So one of you
there's actually a
access-
Dungeons and Dragons website too that you can click and it rolls the dice for you. So
You know what I wanted to tell you?
What's that?
So I started reading, I read The Hobbit. Now I'm reading Lord of the Rings.
Good for you.
And first couple chapters of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, because he's
there
talking
was-
about different types of tobacco and all kinds of like the lineage of hobbits and stuff. Right?
Well,
So,
as soon as there was a roadside like restaurant bar
Mhm.
that was a lot of the scenes took place in.
the Green Dragon.
I don't think that's what it was called.
No? Okay.
But I think it was in my head as I was reading and I was picturing when we played Dungeons and Dragons,
That's
Yeah.
the place that you described
right.
matched that.
Where you were just going to kill dwarves for no reason.
Well,
You're like,
I mean, there
"All
was
right,
someone off
I'll
in the
kill 'em."
corner that wasn't like,
Yeah.
talking to anyone.
Yeah, it's
and
like Strider.
Oh, was that
Yeah.
was that in the Hobbit?
that was in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think in a way, all fantasy is inspired by Lord of the Rings. It was kind of like the starting point.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, it's true. Oh,
Oh, I know which part you're talking about. The one is that the one where the no, it's not. I'm thinking of something else. But anyway,
but it's when you put that game together for us, was that what you had in mind, or you're just saying
Probably.
it's?
I would imagine that was probably the source of that. I don't know.
Oh, you can't.
well, I just figured that's his Circle of Five, his Dungeons and Dragons folks.
Yeah.
Did you meet them online, or
Yeah.
do you know them?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
That's crazy. So they'll get you introduced to other people that like to
Yeah,
play.
there's a site that's called roll20.net,
Uh-huh.
and it's a little advertisement for roll20.net.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can actually go on looking for a game. There's like classifieds of people that are running games looking for players.
That's brilliant.
And yeah,
I bet with COVID, this has been going on like crazy.
yeah, I think it really exploded.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
things like that is just, we'll see. That just ties into what I was wanting to add. Like, what are you doing with your time? Like, the one thing I think that drives me a little crazy is like, I did like to used to go out to eat once in a while or
Mhm.
go do stuff, like go see a movie. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I always feel that I'm a homebody too. Like, I do love being home. There's no doubt about that. But I always had that little ray of like, I'd break from it like every 7 days and go do something right outside. And it's like kind of disrupted that for me. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to go there and there's not going to be anybody else.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. So, but I still do it. I go sit in the restaurant with 25% of the people. Do you do that? Do you sit inside? Do you eat inside?
I've been in maybe twice.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you? You go out to
We've
eat?
been out to a couple of places, but not very often.
No.
Usually
Grab and go,
order in
yeah.
if we're getting something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm afraid to share. Like, I've done, to some people, they would probably look at me as Mr. Irresponsibility when through this whole COVID thing, because just the benefit of, my wife being a flight attendant, I've traveled a good bit.
Mhm.
So they'd be like, look at this guy. He's like, but I mean, I've kept some of that close to my vest earlier on when it was going on, because there was a stigma to that. And knock on wood, I've gone through all of that. I am careful. Like, I follow all the rules that they tell me where I'm at, but like, I've been good. So if anybody was deemed like, oh geez, I did a lot of the things that they said you shouldn't do, which,
I probably have to.
yeah, so
Well, it's a calculated risk, though.
yeah,
Like I
but
said,
the one that I would think
So it's
that,
life, right?
yeah, I think the one that's you would worry most that I did, that happens even before COVID, that people worry about, is when you fly, you're like in a big infection box when you go in there, and the way the ventilation works, everything just shoots through that plane. And there's always people that talk about they'll fly and then they get sick, after that.
Yep.
And, it's not been an issue for me. Knock on wood. Yeah, that's right.
How many days into your quarantine are you right now?
I'm on. I'm like 12 days in.
Oh yeah.
I'm 12
right.
days. Actually, no, technically.
So we're not in much danger.
No,
No.
you're not.
It's a calculated risk, Lee.
Sitting beside Rob at any given point.
It's always, before COVID, it was always a calculated risk to be near me. Just for, character suicide or whatever you want to call it, right? Integrity issues. You hang out with that guy, oh my gosh. So,
when's the last time we were in this room together? Had we been doing shows right up to quarantine?
I think when Father Jay was all online.
That was all online, yeah.
I think
And that
all
was
of those were
quarantine.
online.
I think we met one time after all that, though. Here.
I don't think so.
No?
I
Okay.
think it's been a while.
So that started in March. I'm going to guess February was the last time.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's funny you haven't changed up one bit.
Thanks.
You look
You
exactly
haven't.
the same.
You look really good.
It's like you sleep in
And
a
the dogs still continue to bark. Nothing. Some things don't change.
Wow. I can really hear them too.
You can hear them, yeah. They come through, yeah. Let's go. I mean, is there any change in routine at home that you've changed anything that you do normally with your family because of it?
No,
Any disinfecting or anything like that you worry about?
My wife and I built a deck on our backyard, so we've been spending a lot of time there. It's nice. Glad we did it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
It sounds like you built the studio in the back room of a dog grooming salon.
It sounds like right now.
Like there's a PetSmart right outside that door or something.
And Alex has explicit instructions to keep the dogs quiet. So I'm going to have to go take care of some business after the show.
It's really professional.
You'll see. You'll have to see how that works.
It's the pit where the dogs fight.
Now that'd
They're-
be cool.
The betting goes on after this.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, well, that's good. I mean,
Yeah.
I hope things will continue to return to normal. But it is interesting to see what people do now. I think, like to your point, you did some amazing things. You built a deck.
Mhm.
Would have you done that if this didn't happen? Right?
No, I don't
Would have
think
you
so.
had more time? Right? I don't know. Like I think there's been a lot of people doing things more that's improved their skill set.
We certainly wouldn't have had the money because we would have spent it on a vacation, and
Yeah.
then that would have been gone. So,
That's a good point.
Did you replace an existing deck, or
Mhm.
it was started from scratch?
yep, started from scratch. So
Was there already a door in your house there?
There was a
did it
back door, yeah.
Step out into nothing.
it stepped out onto a sidewalk.
Okay.
It was
that
like
went- that
a
went down
little
some
step
steps.
slab. You had like a little step or something.
Yeah, it was step slab, and that went out to some cement steps that went down. So I covered all that with the deck.
Yeah.
So
So if we all went down there together and had some friends, and then we just stood on your deck and started jumping up and down as hard as possible, you think it would hold us all together? You think it's really?
Get a board on
Done
the
well.
face.
Yeah, right.
there's a good chance. Yeah, that
Does it feel really flat?
yes,
You don't have any weird creaks in the boards or anything like
not
that?
yet. Give
Wow.
that time. Yeah.
Wasn't there one thing that I heard, like when building decks, that maybe it's inside, but you're supposed to start with the wood being really close together and they spread out a little bit? Isn't there something with wood over time?
Yeah, so there's and you can't put them side by side. You have to give room for them to expand.
Oh, okay.
Just a little bit of room. It's like a quarter of an inch, if that. So
Oh, really? So you have
Yeah.
to really measure
yeah,
each one
you
of
just
those to
get a
make sure
little
you get the
a
gap.
thing that's a quarter of an inch, and you just put it and put the wood.
Oh, it's kind of like the tile thing, like we do with
yeah,
setting
exactly.
tiles.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Were there any big fights that came out of the family of there's pressure when you're putting something together like that, right?
No, it was good.
And you and Amy and Delaney help?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
it was
a
good.
family affair.
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah. What about you guys?
I'm trying to think what I did to improve myself. I did a lot of. I've been reading.
It's like I did nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Your Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, no,
prowess.
just working, just mostly working. Oh, I've started fishing a lot with my kid. That's me and Aiden have been going fishing quite a bit,
Oh, that's good. Where do you do that?
all over the place.
Really? You're
Yeah.
catching stuff?
A little bit here and there.
You doing
It's
live
not-
bait or are
it's
you
not a
doing?
great time of the year to be fishing?
Yeah, it depends on what you're going after.
No, we just throw lures out there.
Oh, that's
Mm.
cool. So you do spinners and stuff.
Yeah,
Wow. Are you good with taking fish off the hook by your hand?
Oh, sure.
Bare
you mean
hand or
good with okay touching a fish?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you do it without gloves and all that? Yeah, you see,
You need gloves on?
I gotta have gloves on.
Really? It's just a
See,
fish.
my dad thinks I'm a big wuss too because my dad's like, "Yeah, let's grab the fish."
Yeah, you just got to grab it and hold it.
Yeah, I'm freaked out
Watch out
about
for those
even
pointy
like
things.
the pointy,
Yeah.
the way those fins stop up and all
Yeah.
that stuff, dude. I don't like
Self
touching.
protection.
I only touch dogs and cats. No, nothing else I want to touch. No other animal. Not even a freaking hamster. I don't want any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm freaked out about all this. I don't know why, but I just never. And it's embarrassing when you have like my daughter, where she picks up everything and brings it to me. And when she was little, and brings it in my face, and I'm jumping out of the chair like, "Get that thing away from me!" Right?
The one thing that I had when I was
Yeah.
when my nephew was probably 7,
Yeah.
I took him down to the Monongahela River downtown to do some fishing. We were under a bridge, and we caught this bluegill. He caught this bluegill, and it was like, its mouth was almost too small for the hook, so it really got it good. But when he pulled it in, the fish had some kind of like growth on it,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to touch the growth because I didn't know what the heck it was.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Did you ask the fish if it could put a mask on before you started
so I'm
grabbing a
like,
hold of it?
this was years and years ago. So I'm like, telling my nephew to look the other way.
Mhm.
Like, I'm like, oh, look down there, there's a boat. And then I'm holding the pole and I just start whipping the fish against the ground because I didn't want to touch it. And then,
He's gonna rip the hook out
and
of
then
its mouth, rip its lips
I
off.
did. And then And then I grabbed it by the fin and I flung it out into the water. And I'm like, oh, he was too small. He's got to go back to his family.
Oh, it was like, oh,
it
I feel great.
Hold on, listen. And then within 2 minutes, he's floating on top of the water sideways.
You're like, well, that worked out well.
Oh my gosh.
Like a fish murderer.
Oh, look, he's going back to his family.
ASPCA is going to be contacting us.
Yeah. I thought the crazy story was going to be, and you caught the fish again, and you're like, no!
Actually hooked it in the tomb.
Yeah, right. And the fish just entered your dreams in the evening with no lips and a big growth on its side.
What you should have done was just snip the hook off, like snip the
Oh,
line
of course.
and let it go with the hook in its
Right.
mouth, which would then dissolve eventually.
Really?
Yeah, the enzymes in the fish combined with the water, it's that stuff's made to dissolve pretty quickly.
The hook?
Yeah, it would be gone before too terribly long.
Where were you?
I have
Where
no
was
idea
I?
about that.
Yeah.
I never knew that. I used to
Yeah,
fish
like
a
if
lot
you
with
hook
my
a fish
dad.
too deep and you can't, it might
Yeah.
be stuck in something in there. You just cut it off.
My dad actually had a special tool that you'd put
Yeah,
in the
those are cool.
mouth
Yeah.
and back the hook out.
All right.
He's got a lot of crazy stories, though, teaching my kids how to fish and having his hook jammed through his thumb, like from one end to the other.
Oh, my
For
goodness.
my kid, when he's trying to wiggle it off the fish and the kid jerks the thing back while
Yep.
his hand is right there. And yeah, lots of good stories.
Oh, you caught Grandpa.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
We went to Tennessee for vacation this summer,
Nice.
and Aiden caught a big, I think it was a drum. It was a freshwater drum.
Oh, yeah.
But he hooked it in the eye when he brought it in, and it was hooked like behind the eye, in the
Wow.
eye socket. I just could not get the hook out, so I did kill that fish.
Wow.
Yeah.
How would he catch it that way?
I thought it would just
Was
be
he
too
pulling it
cool
real
to,
fast? Oh, when
rip
he
the
jerked
eye
it.
out or whatever. Yeah, I think it just came over to check out what he had, and it got hooked in the eye. I don't know.
That is crazy.
Bad luck for him.
Yeah.
Good
Uh,
luck for
I
Aiden.
stunned it with a rock and then put a knife through its brain.
Wow.
So, yeah, I felt bad about it. But
Did you see how automatic he was with that? It kind of freaks me out. It's like he's got some special forces fantasy we knew nothing about.
well, I mean,
He's probably got, when you open a closet, he's got like a wall of knives and all these other things. You got a Rambo knife?
I have a big knife. I don't
Do you?
call it a Rambo knife.
How big
No,
is
a
it?
Rambo knife has to
How
have the
big is it?
Saw on
compass in the
back.
tip, you
Yeah,
know.
Saw on the back.
Bought
stuff,
at swap meets when we were like 10 and 12.
Oh, yeah. Those things, you go to any, what do you call them, flea market.
Yeah.
They'd be like, we have the original Rambo knife. Get it here for $5.
Yeah.
$5 and I get a Rambo knife. That thing sold like crazy
Yep.
back then. Like
Yep. I
every
had
kid
one.
wanted one of those.
Yep, the sheath was made out of really cheap plastic like stuff, but it was camouflage. So
Yeah, right. This is exactly
Camouflage.
the same one that we used in the movie.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. I just went through a Rambo-a-thon a month ago. I didn't realize how many Rambos there actually were.
Have you seen Last Blood?
I didn't watch that one yet.
No.
Is it good?
I don't know. It's got really bad reviews.
Oh, did it?
I
Is it-
didn't know there
I'm
was
sure,
a-
I'm sure it's terrible.
I didn't know there was a Rambo 3, which was
Mhm.
terrible.
It just bugs me the way that the first movie was called First Blood,
Yeah.
and then it was called Rambo 2, right?
Yeah.
Didn't they name the second movie Rambo 2?
Yeah, it did.
But Rambo wasn't the name of the first movie.
No, it throws you off. You're like, oh, is this a different movie?
Yeah.
No.
Well, I just watched The Expendables 2 with Sylvester Stallone, and it's when they're
is that really good?
It was really good.
Mhm.
It was good. Like it was entertaining.
Like
It
all
was
the action heroes living.
old
are in
action
those.
heroes. Like there was nobody under 75 in there.
Is the one guy that plays Iron Man? What's his name?
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, isn't he? in
No,
that?
he's not in that.
Oh, what was
No.
the one where he acted like he was an actor?
Oh,
he-
Tropic
he
Thunder.
did like
Yes.
Tropic Thunder.
Oh, what a
That's the one.
great movie.
It
What a
was.
great movie.
Okay.
I did not think I would enjoy that as much as I did.
It's so good.
Yeah.
See, I haven't seen that. I got to watch that.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
haven't seen it?
No.
Oh,
no, what's-
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see it.
It's
that
pretty
good?
racy. Yeah.
It's that good.
Yeah. It's good.
Wow. I know we're like all over the place, but we just kind of
What
trying
else
to
we
catch
gonna
up with
talk
each
about?
other.
Yeah. It's been a while.
So you said you've been doing some reading, though.
Yeah, I've been
Any spiritual reading?
well, sort of. It's I have done some of that, but like most of my time has been with Jordan Peterson's book Maps of Meaning,
That
which
counts.
is
I
a really
think Jordan
hard.
Peterson counts.
He's spiritual. Really hard book to read. I've been working on it for 2.5 months, and I'm only on page 195.
Wow.
It's one of the. In fact,
So you're digesting it.
I think it's it's a style like Nietzsche almost, right? Like I haven't read Nietzsche yet, but he talks about colleges have moved away from really hard books that require people to think, which has made the thinking population degrade over time. And they'll throw the Communist Manifesto in there for people to read, but they won't take a book like Nietzsche or Carl Jung or some other book that requires you to really, get involved with the thinking and maybe try to understand it. And I think he is a big fan of that style. And so he says before you read this book, it's a hard read. And it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very interesting. I can tell you, we don't have to get into too many details, but it's really hit where I've been searching my whole life in my search, in my beliefs, tremendously, because he focuses on, he always talks about in his debates or whatever, when they talk about the finding science and how they're trying to say science now replaces religion and we don't need religion anymore. But he really breaks down the usefulness of science and the usefulness of religion. And
how they can work together, or how they
right?
fit together, one being stories on how to live and the other explaining objects.
Like science is like defining an object, and religion is actually on the top of a cultural society trying to build a moral structure amongst it. But it's almost like if you were to put religion like almost as a part of a stream of evolution, religion is like where we are now. Like before religion existed, he actually breaks down before religion existed, how did people from generation to generation share their values, and even how maybe the brain may have changed over time with those values, right? And then he talks about how religion was introduced at a certain time when people was able to start talking. So there was this acting out of drama before religion occurred to share with your children, maybe in your cave wall or whatever, this is what you're supposed to do to get the buffalo or whatever.
Yeah.
Everything by action, showing everything, right? That carried into myths. Myths was a precursor to religion, where there were mythic stories that shared how you were supposed to live. And religion kind of capstoned all of that, taking all of those myths and tying them in together into meaningful stories. And so that he explains that transformation, and he talks about the religions prior to Christianity, that have a lot of overlap with the stories that are carried through in the Bible.
Which
is fascinating.
What are the two Egyptians,
Osiris
and
I can't remember the name, but you have there's a lot of players into that one, right? But there's the Egyptian story,
and then there's the other one where all the gods get together and decide that there has to be a single god that's better than all, and so
there's Marduk, which is
Marduk,
the one
that's
has
right,
the all-seeing
eyes all the way around.
Yes, that's the Mesopotamian god. So those are a precursor to Judaism and Christianity. I've never really heard anybody take a view to explain that and really investigate that, which is fascinating, because some of those stories, the intent of the stories before the way things were transitioned into the Bible, were the same intent that the Bible's trying to share, like explaining who Jesus is in contrast from God and Mary. There was a similar approach in the past with other archetypal representations, right? So
in those stories.
So there was that same intent, just expressed in a different way to get the same outcome. And he believes over time that story is just improved in the way to tell it, which I think is fascinating.
So, I mean, could you imagine a world with only science? Like, how is that going to tell you how to live or guide you with any sort of decision. It's not. It's going to
Yeah, it doesn't give you
tells you
it's-
why
It gives you facts about how objects act,
or
but even
what, not the why.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he even says with an object, you're determining its usefulness based off of your point of view, but there might be 10 million other uses of that
Right.
object in a completely different way that you're not going to know by sheer science.
Mhm.
But a story could tell you how those objects may work in a meaningful way to give you meaning in your life, right? So it's very fascinating.
It is.
So, and I do love it. It's just hard to read. And I have to read the same page over and over again. But I think it's building my faith from that point of view where I can understand. Where it really helps me is I've really struggled with the idea that there's people of different cultures or people pre-Christian that I always wonder, well, wait, they all lived a completely different way. They didn't follow this narrative. Even Judaism versus Christianity, right? There's this other narrative, and I'm like, how?
Yeah, you've talked about that before because
Yeah.
you have an Indian friend, or you've had
Yeah,
friends in
right.
India.
But
Yeah.
he even talks about how their, Bhagavad Gita, I think what is their version of their manuscript has the
No,
same
I didn't
intent.
know that existed.
Yeah. Where they have their own way of explaining. But what it really comes down to is chaos, chaos, which is versus order, right? And the start of those stories, it's always been that you should have your feet firmly planted in both. If you stay in order in being everything's under control at all times, and that's why I think he gets into the thing where you don't want to be too ideological on anything you do. Like if you really stick with, I'm going to do everything orderly and everything's in order, you're never going to learn anything more. You're never going to try new things. You're going to stay in your bubble, but you also can build a tyrannical position because if you believe that's only what you believe, you try to force that on everybody else.
Yep.
And that's why, the idea of having your other foot in chaos, you need to explore an adventure, which could lead to death, is what he says, right? But, death can mean, it doesn't necessarily mean death of the body. It could be death of your thoughts and your beliefs and your restricting. And so, but that death can lead to a rebirth, So he talks about the positive and negative chaos. There's the death aspect where it's the mother eating her children, right? But then there's the rebirth of you that comes out of that. Like you die, but you come out from it with a different point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really deep like that,
Yeah, it super is.
Yeah, like when you read those words and the symbolism, something. I think Lee's really good at this.
I think
I've
that
been
you
really
guys
bad about symbolism.
should write to Jordan Peterson, and I think he would use those as pull-out quotes on his next book.
Oh, what?
It's really deep and stuff like that. Yeah, it super is.
Yeah, right.
I don't
think you would.
That's material. That'll sell a book right there.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
The last, so
it's super is. I love that.
He has
Super
a weekly podcast, and the last 4 weeks have all been about pulled from Maps and Meeting.
Yeah.
Prior to that, it's all like 12 Rules for Life, and then there was a biblical series that he did a big from years back. So that was super is cool too.
Yeah.
I'm starting something new here. Super is.
I think we should use that on our website or something.
Yeah.
It's super.
This talk
cool.
was really deep in that.
I'm a huge fan of it. But do you realize the pain he's been through in the last year? I don't know if you follow.
Right. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Right. Well, I mean, his wife was ill for quite some time, right? Or
And
still
his
is.
negative reaction.
And then him
taking that depression.
He became
medication.
addicted to it, right?
Yeah, but he talked. It had a really technical term, but he said it was equivalent to somebody hitting you with 1,000 needles continuously, and you can't sit down, you can't stand up, nothing is comfortable.
Wow,
complete pain.
Trying to come off that drug.
Coming off the drug.
Then he got COVID.
Yeah, he has COVID now.
Oh,
yeah, he did.
He got through it, and he's fine.
Is he through that
Yep.
now? Okay.
He is.
But yeah, no, I mean, the guy has been, he even explained in his interview that he wouldn't commit suicide, but he was very happy if he would die. He would rather die than what he was going through.
I feel that way when I have the flu.
Yeah, I mean, I have a very low.
I have a really bad headache, and I'm like, just take me.
Some people have a very high pain threshold. I don't think I am in that category. But I think the crazy part that he did it, I don't know, did you heard about his trip to Russia? But in America, you can't, like, let's say if you're in real pain and you want to kick a habit, I don't know if it's because there's rules in health or anything. Like, they can't put you under to where you sleep through the pain until you come out of it. In Russia, they let him do that. So they sent
Like
him,
a medically induced coma?
Yes. I don't know if they call it a
You can
coma,
like
but
choose for this
yeah, like
to happen.
put me under until I recover.
Oh,
Let my
wow.
body fight this off and not let me feel it. Right. I think
Yeah.
that was the intent.
I mean, that's ingenious. Honestly, we
Yeah.
could solve so many problems that
Like
way.
constipation. Like just put me under
Yeah.
Put me
until I
under
poop.
until-
Yeah.
Or
And a
passing a
garden
kidney
hose.
stone.
And,
I haven't had that happen.
Oh my
or
gosh.
maybe while you like some people gets off heroin or whatever,
Yeah.
just put them under and
Wow.
Yeah.
What
I don't know why
concept.
we don't do that here. I mean, why
Yeah.
would that, unless there's a lot of risk to it?
Well, there's always any risk with anesthesia, right?
Yeah.
Always.
But he did that in Russia for a good while, and he did come out of certain things, but other things happened there too that weren't good either, right? I can't remember, but there were other complications while he was
It's
there.
probably an understatement. Other things in Russia happened that weren't good.
Yeah.
I imagine that's
Yeah.
like the understatement of the century.
Exactly. But I think the dude's in
Something
Florida
bad
now, right?
happened in Russia?
Yeah. But no, in the end, I mean, I'm excited to get the book done. A lot
I
of people
can't
that have
believe
read
you're
it.
able to read it. Honestly, like it seemed like it was a 300 or 400 level textbook.
It is.
in
It's
that
hard.
subject.
It is. I think Lee could probably fly right through
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah.
And I don't
And
know.
then,
You're
then
getting
pull
pretty-
out quotes too.
Yeah. But I think with practice on anything, if you take your time and read it, and like in the beginning, I spent a lot of time with my iPhone, which has been a blessing. And I say, what does this word mean? What does this word mean?
Yeah, I do that.
And it'll give me like, like one of his big words that he uses is pre-cosmogonic, which is such a cool word.
That's a fun word to say.
heard that one.
Pre-cosmogonic.
Yeah, so cosmogonic is the formulation of the universe. So
Oh,
the creation
okay.
of the universe mostly focused on the solar system. Pre-cosmogonic is before the universe was created. So, yeah, so he uses a lot of work. He uses a lot of psychological terms like valence. He uses valence a lot. And valence, I think, has to do with an attraction. It's like if you have a valence towards something, it's something you're going to walk towards and do. So they use a lot of psychological. But once you get that keyword thing, he repeats a lot of that stuff. And then once you can figure that out, then you can start lining it up with why didn't the guy just use normal words?
Yeah.
Why didn't he just say the creation before the creation of the universe? Yeah. Why do you have to use pre-cosmogonic? Right?
No wonder he and Bishop Barron seem to get along pretty well.
They
when
talk at
to
the
each other,
same, yeah. But then Bishop Barron likes to cut just a little harder in there and start quoting French poets
or Latin.
I love that. I love that.
It recalls.
And then he'll be like,
a cry of the heart.
Yeah, right.
The cry of the heart
for you idiots.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh, that's me. Hello, I'm the idiot. Yeah, it's been different. So,
yeah,
a lot of reading on my part too.
I'm
still not done with 12 rules. I put it aside for a little bit.
Yeah,
I think I'm on rule 8. So,
well, you've been reading. What else have you been reading? Would you
Lord of the Rings?
Oh, so you're into how many books is that broken up into?
There's 6.
6 books.
Well, I think 3 books, 2 sub books in each book, so it's 6 total books.
Wow. I think
like there's book 1 because you're looking as though you're going to correct me.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's 3 like
I've never read. I mean,
2 towers.
Tolkien intended it for me to just be one long story, right? The publisher broke it up into books.
And then there's The Hobbit, which is I absolutely recommend reading The Hobbit first because it tells the story of.
Is it a pre-sequel?
It is. It is.
Prequel.
Yep. It lays it all out. So
talking about the Shire.
And then after I'm done with Lord of the Rings, I'm going to watch The Hobbit, and then I'm going to watch Lord of the Rings. And there's a new Lord of the Rings coming out
on Amazon.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
What's it going to be about?
The Hobbit movie, though. Have you seen it?
I heard it's horrible.
Yeah, Peter Jackson took a lot of liberties and added characters and things that weren't in the book.
And isn't CG really bad?
It's tons of CG, and it's not great.
Okay, that's all right. it'll still be good to.
He added a love interest for one of the dwarves, and it's just stuff he didn't need to do.
Really?
So, how does a person with that kind of talent like write that many pages
my
about a
gosh,
made-up
dude.
story like that? That's just
It's
fascinating.
unbelievable the level of detail in this book, and
the fact of what, like the foundation under that he created too, like because he started the Silmarillion is the story of the creation of the universe, and so he like it's an entire book talking about how the universe was created and where all these races came from. And he actually, he was a philologist. Is that right?
What is that?
He studied languages.
Oh, okay.
He was an expert. He's he taught at Oxford or whatever, and so he actually created these languages. The Elvish language. He created an entire language. Yeah.
And there are maps, and it's referenced, like it's all made up. I think it's based off the English countryside, but it's still all made up and referencing all these things that are just make believe. Like, and the level of detail with everything, he had to have stood there and just put stuff together. I mean, and there's stories and sub stories and
he said, I think it was him who despised allegory. So
he despises allegory.
Yes, like so. It's not like this thing is comparable to this, and he's trying to make this point with it. But he actually said that Lord of the Rings is a very Catholic book.
Okay,
and there are comparisons to be made. Like I think Gandalf, Frodo, and Aragorn are all Christ figures, like in different aspects of their story.
Okay,
and Galadriel, Queen of the Elves, is a very Marian figure.
Wow.
And like have you seen Lord of the Rings, the movie?
No, not yet.
No, you haven't? Okay.
Oh, you've never watched it?
Some of it, but not.
Really
have you gotten through the mines of Moria yet? Have you gotten to where the elves live in the woods? Or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So Galadriel gives them this phial that it's a little like a little bottle of liquid
for dirt. Is that the
it's the
fertilizer
light,
stuff?
the light of the even star. It's in a bottle. Anyway, it's actually comparable to the rosary. It's compared to the rosary because it's used as a weapon later.
Oh
yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that in there.
So you call it the Silmarillion? Is that how
Silmarillion? Yeah.
Is that another set of books that he wrote?
It's one book.
Okay. Have you read that?
I have read parts of it. It's difficult to read.
Is it really hard? Is he writing in like a different language?
Yeah,
no,
it's written like in a very it's like a creation story. So it's written almost like a Bible.
Wow.
And it talks about how Iluvatar, who is the great, is comparable to God, imagined his idea for creation. And he created these beings called Maiar, which are the angels, and he shared his vision with them and then allowed them to sing forth creation. So they sang and things were created. And so he allowed them to actually create the things that he had envisioned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So you try to figure out a writer, like what's everybody probably has their own approach, but like if you have an idea for a novel, do you already know like the start and where you want to wind up? And then you just try to start with a storyboard of how we're going to get to the end, right? Like I always wonder how, when you take a 500-page novel, that's a well-written novel, one that's very popular. It's not some love story where it's always like some Hallmark movie, but which I love, but but like it's a thought-out story that has, like you said, sub-stories and things.
Yeah.
Like when he sits down, like when he sat down, did he just start writing from the beginning and seeing, oh, we'll see where this winds up? Or did he like outline, these are the major plot lines throughout the story? He puts those up on a wall or
He
something.
would have had to.
I don't know how he did it, but yeah, I mean, both are valid approaches, right? I mean,
is there people that would just start at the beginning and see how?
Sure.
Well, Peterson says you need to start with an argument and then chew on that argument
for an essay, right?
Yeah.
For a good essay, yeah.
Typically, I think the best way to go about writing a story like this is to know what the ending is.
Yeah.
And then decide where you're going to start and then get there, right?
Get there. Even you might not know how you're going to get there.
You might actually go on the journey while you're writing it.
So you're letting your brain help creatively formulate it as you're going.
Yeah, but there are also writers who plot out every single point.
Yeah, I wonder what the better way is, or if there is a better
It
way.
depends on how your brain works.
I can
Yeah.
tell you, before I started reading Lord of the Rings, like I tried to watch, there was an HBO show that was really popular,
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. One of the reasons I hated watching Game of Thrones and I stopped, like I tried watching a couple episodes, it was because I just thought like they're lazy writers, because they would just make crap up to if they wrote themselves into a corner, you know what I mean? They'd be like, oh, well, let's make a god that can throw arrows, and you know what I mean? Like, or a beast that, you know, eats horses. Like,
the books are phenomenal. The writers
Game
of the
of Thrones?
show suck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the Game of Thrones is a good book too.
Yeah.
oh, is
They're
it?
really good.
Yeah, it really is. But I mean, the early seasons of Game of Thrones were based on the books, and you can actually, watching the whole series, see where it starts to just unravel, and where the guys who created the TV show took over more of the writing. You can see like the plots getting thinner and characters like not being as deep, and those kinds of shortcuts happening. Go, oh well, we need this to happen here, so this dragon now sets this on fire for absolutely no reason, just because we needed it to happen.
Yeah.
Could it be also because the book, like they were outrunning the book?
Oh, they
right?
completely outran the book. No, they
They
knew
knew the popularity. Like, we got to keep this thing going, right?
they knew where George Martin intended to take the books. Like he
Yeah.
told them the ending.
Yeah.
But they butchered it.
Is George Martin done with the
No,
story?
he's got like 2 books left to write. He's a really slow writer.
Yeah.
And I think he's missed his deadline on the book that's supposed to be out now by years. It should have been out
Wow.
years ago.
What's fascinating, like I've watched a story about him on PBS. My wife likes watching this show. It's about tracing your roots. So they'll do he'll do a genetic test about you, and then they'll go do all the hard work of finding out the genealogy. But they'll actually travel, like they'll go way as far back. They'll go to a church if the church stored some record like 8 generations ago of somebody in your family, and they'll visually show all that, right? And so he was in one of those shows. And so there was a brief biography about him and how he started before he started writing Game of Thrones. He said his whole life growing up, I think, was he in New York or New Jersey? He did not go, his world was a block within itself, never traveled outside of his family, never traveled outside of this very small, they didn't drive, they didn't do anything. They just lived in this small area, and he never traveled outside that bubble his whole while he was young. And you wonder if that in itself forces your brain to be so creative, because if when you're not traveling out, I wonder, like, he's probably reading a lot or doing something to consume his time. Like, where do you?
So creating his own
something?
worlds is the way he traveled.
Yeah, because he didn't travel at all, right? So, like, he probably tried to formulate what it would be like, and coming up with all these details.
No, he has to have things mapped out on a wall, because he's got so many families and characters and interactions between the families, and this little thread over here gets pulled and it affects this thing over here.
So, and then he has to know when to switch over, huh?
Yeah.
Is it hard to read the book?
I mean, there are some characters that you can't remember who they were or how they connect. And there are some characters you just don't care about.
Yeah.
He tells different chapters from different perspectives, like as he goes through the book. So
how hard do you see Lord of the Rings like to read? Is it hard?
It's not bad. No,
it's not a bad read.
I mean,
like, do you look forward to diving in?
I do, dude. I've not felt this way about a book in a long time. Yeah, it's awesome. And there's a lot of like songs and poems. I just skip over those. I don't read that crap.
That's tough to do. Now, I've always said that it's better to watch the movie first and then read the book, because when you read the book, it's usually so awesome and deep, and you have expectations that the movie can't meet, right? But seeing Lord of the Rings first before I read the book, I was able to put like the characters' voices to the voices and things. And when something was different in the book, it was usually richer or deeper than what was in the movie, and so it came off as cooler. Whereas you don't feel like you're getting shortchanged.
Yeah.
But the creators of the movie wrote really cool tunes to those songs.
Oh, did they?
And so, because like in The Hobbit, the elves sitting in the trees sing these stupid songs that just when I read it without having any context, it was like, like, this is so freaking stupid.
But and it would be pretty lengthy through the pages.
What?
It'd be pretty lengthy through the pages. You
Oh,
gotta
it goes
get through
pages. These songs and
Well,
poems,
and
pages.
I
Yeah.
think the
Yeah.
idea was it was their way of communication. Like they didn't have books, so that's how
Mhm.
they would recall things of different lands and different peoples by
Kinda
because
like
they would know
Jordan
these
Peterson
songs.
would talk
Yeah,
about conveying
exactly.
information,
Yep,
right?
and how they, I guess it would
Crazy.
be the early Christians conveyed the stories.
Right. But in the movies, they set those songs to like medieval tunes and like really cool sounding.
Mm.
Yeah, they did a nice job. So
They didn't have Jack Black and what's his name like come out of the
Gass.
woods. Yeah,
Right.
what were they called? The
Tenacious D,
Tenacious D.
Mhm.
me and
Rocking
KG
Yeah, right.
acting like a sex machine.
Wow, that's a fancy. That's probably got to be an area that I'm going to have to dive into.
Yeah, I highly recommend it, Rob. I'm telling
Yeah.
you,
Yeah,
dude.
it's good stuff.
And
You've seen
and
the movies, right?
Oh, I love the movies.
Yeah.
And like, it's just like The Godfather. If the movie comes on, no matter where it is in the middle of the
You'll
movie,
watch
I'll
it.
stop and watch it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really good.
I've watched a little bit of it, but it was 20 years ago, so or 15, 18 years ago.
He did an
One of
amazing job with the 3 movies.
Yes, the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh
yes.
my
The
gosh.
Hobbit, not so much.
And that was mostly all done in New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
It's just
Both
see
of them.
how beautiful it is there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, that would be an area I would love. That's definitely a bucket list item.
I think the Shire is still standing from the set. I think you can.
Oh, is it?
I think it's a tourist attraction.
In New Zealand.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating.
Is Gandalf dead right now?
Sir Ian McKellen.
No, Gandalf is no the character where I am in the book.
So he fell.
He fell long back, and
You shall not pass.
yes, and
Fly,
like one
you
of the-
fools.
Frodo and Sam have taken off in their boat.
So you don't know what happens?
Not. I'm. That's
Why
what
are
I
you
am.
at-
That's
why
what I'm
are you-
asking.
why are
Is
you at-
Gandalf?
why-
Because
I'll
I
tell
don't
you
want
that.
Why are
Gandalf
you
to be
asking?
dead.
I'm not going to
He's
tell
awesome.
you that. Either he is or he isn't.
I don't think he's dead. I think that they left enough room that he
There
survived
is
the fall. And
that part of the movie looks amazing too.
Yeah.
Like they did. It was just amazing.
yeah, that creature in my head that,
Yeah.
that destroyed him or
Yeah.
The
pushed him up.
Balrog.
Yeah, that thing has got to be insane.
It looks
Yeah.
great in the movie.
Oh,
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. That whole scene is just amazing.
Hmm.
I love it.
So
And I
you-
love how bad
You're thinking Gandalf had to have survived the fall.
I think he did only because he's such a pivotal character, and I'm only halfway through the book.
Okay, I'm not going to spoil anything.
He's
for you.
got to come back.
Where are you now in the book? Like, what's happening right now?
Sam and Frodo took off away from the group,
Mhm.
and the orcs attacked and took away
Merry and Pippin.
Merry and Pippin, and
Boromir
Aragon caught, and Aragon and
Gimli,
the 3
Legolas.
ran down the orcs,
Yep.
and they've just come upon a team of like another army, and Aragon's revealed his kingship basically
Mhm.
to this other army, and I think they're gonna help him. So
You tell me your name, Horsemaster, and I shall tell you mine.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. So it's really good. Like I'm totally into it.
Are
And
you saying of all the books you've ever read, that's probably your favorite, or do you have a favorite book? Like, what is
I've got
that's most memorable?
number
And, like
of-
that
of
you would
books.
go back to read some of it if you.
I've
wanted
read
to.
Lord of the Rings a couple of times.
Would you put it up in the top?
Yeah, for sure.
What else? What other book?
We're getting low on time,
Yeah.
but
Hobbit.
The Alienist by Caleb Carr is a really good one.
Alienist.
They made that into a TV show that sucked
Oh, really?
because I read the book first.
Is it a series? The
There's 2 of
Alienist?
them. There's 2 books.
No. Sorry.
They made it
TV.
into a TV. And I think Amazon made
The
a series.
Alienist.
The Alienist. It takes place in New York City in the 1800s,
Mhm.
and it's like early track detective work.
Ooh,
track down a
that
serial
sounds
killer.
good.
Oh, wow. That's a totally different kind of
Yeah.
stream for
They're
you.
tracking down a murderer of young boy whores.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a big contrast.
Lee needs to take notes on how to cover his tracks better, so he doesn't
like-
get caught by the alienist.
Do you murder boy
I
whores?
like
I
that.
had no idea.
I like Civil War, like
Yeah.
actual Civil War history. Like
You like that too?
well, like fictionalized version, like the Killer Angels. Did you ever read that? The story of
No.
Gettysburg,
Mm.
written like as though it's fiction.
You
but
should
it's-
be all over that. Like he's a Gettysburg nut.
Yeah, I know. You've never read The Killer Angels?
No, I
You
think
should
my
pick it up.
daughter has actually.
Michael Shara.
Has she really? She read the books?
Probably, yeah. I read.
Wow.
It just takes you through the battle, and it's told from the perspective of the different generals.
Mm.
Really, really good.
Wow. So good stuff.
Yeah.
We should do a book review sometime. That'd be
Little
good.
book club.
I think we just did.
Yeah, we covered a good bit there.
We even worked some Catholicism in there.
Yeah.
some
We
Richard
always
the
try to
First.
find to work it in. It's
Yeah.
like a thin layer. It works itself in and works itself around.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's a wrap on season 2. We don't know when we'll be back with season 3. Sooner than later, hopefully.
Well, we're going to
And
start recording, right?
Are we going to record, or are we going to talk about our approach? Or are we just going to do more of the
no,
same?
we're
Talk about the
plan.
approach. Let's plan.
We should actually try to plan something.
And
out.
you know
We'll
what?
start tweeting 5
Yeah,
times a day
like,
from
can we
every
do
single
that?
one of us.
Yeah. Right while I'm fasting till 12 o'clock so I can lose 2 pounds a week. I'm gonna have all these ridiculous plans. That'll work.
It's a good idea. We'll give it a shot. See what happens.
Yeah, what how do you want to do that? Do you just want to get together? I think we can do better.
Well, I mean, we could get together.
Yeah, we can do that. Do you want to try to stream yard with video that next Thursday, or how do you want to do it? I can get off. I'm available. I mean, obviously, I'm not traveling. Like, I can meet multiple times if we really want to. So, whatever we think of. But I know you're really busy. So, we should work through it. Yeah.
Thanks, man. That's what I like to hear.
Because you know my schedule, we're up.
Yeah. Are you doing any more with that moon lighting?
No. Last thing I did was last week. I did. They had contacted me and they were like, "Hey, Mike, we need to update that computer at your house," because they gave me a computer, So I'm like, "All right." It had